Welcome to Color Me Psychic. Thanks for calling in today. Where are you calling in from?
Hi, I'm calling in from Dallas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Texan. Hello, hello. What question do you find yourself asking over and over again that you want to explore in your session today?
I find myself lacking a lot of consistency,
Okay.
and I want to ask myself why I'm not consistent. And also, I guess it goes hand in hand with my art practice, why I'm never consistent with my art practice as well. That so much that it's caused me to like not practice it at all recently.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that is a great question. So why am I not consistent with my art practice, or why am I lacking consistency? Is there
Mhm.
anything else you'd want to add, or does that feel pretty good for you?
Yeah, I think the consistency is like in generally every part of my life. So I think like I guess it could be like maybe like two separate things because
Okay.
well like art making is very important to me, but I think consistency is what like stems into other aspects of my life.
Yeah, I love that. So we'll just go with why am I lacking consistency?
Mhm.
I want you to think about that question. Why am I lacking consistency? And I want you to kind of, when you think about that question, start generating the feelings of what it feels like when you start noticing that you're not being consistent.
Mhm.
And I want you to go into your body and do a body scan. So, starting at your head and moving all the way down to your toes, I want you to look for the spot in your body that is making the most noise or that is producing the loudest sensation.
Mhm. Okay. So it was like a fight between like my chest and the top of my head,
That's
but I
all
realized that my chest kind of like was like, no, it's not me. And the top of my head was like more persistent. So I think it's the top of my head.
awesome. What does the sensation feel like in the top of your head?
It feels very solid.
Does it feel, how would you describe it? Would it be like solid's a great place to start? Does it feel like dense or tight or constricting or numb or expansive or airy?
I'd say it's like a mix between dense and airy, but it's more dense than airy.
Okay. And then would you say that this sensation, would you classify it as either heavy, so feeling down, upset, or something feels off about it, or light, like more airy, full of possibilities, or just a little more like soft and fluffy,
Hmm. Definitely heavy.
heavy.
Yeah.
So I want you to take this heavy, solid, dense, and a little airy feeling that's in the top of your head. And I want you to take that feeling and color it out onto a piece of paper using
Mhm.
any color and shape that you want. You can take as much time as you need. And then when it feels complete, just let me know. Okay, so this is what you colored. Walk me through the coloring process. Like what
Uh,
you colored first.
so I first started by making the curved rectangle,
Okay,
which is that's the way I wanted to sort of like describe the feeling at like I would say it's like my frontal lobe
okay.
of my head of like sort of like this really dense block. But it wasn't like pointy, it was just like solid. Like instead of like a very structured box, it was like a bag of stuff filled inside.
Cool.
Um, and then I knew that I still felt like a little bit of airiness, kind of like I was visualizing like a garbage bag with a bunch of air in it. Like it wasn't heavy objects, it was like air in it, but it wasn't released. And so that's why I put like the dots inside of the rectangle shape.
Mhm.
And then I was coloring it, But then I was like, this is gonna, filling in the color. I was like, I don't know. I kind of want to like not color it all in.
Yeah,
And so I was like, okay, well, it's still dense, so I'm just gonna do some like dots in there.
cool.
Um, and then when I finished that, I was also thinking about how like that denseness kind of takes control of my body and stands ground, and it's what keeps me kind of like a tree in one place.
Mm,
Kind of like makes me paralyzed in a way. I don't even know where this is coming from, but yeah. So I kind of did the legs standing on the ground. I would say like a tree, and the pink is like my body.
okay,
And then I also noticed that while I did feel the denseness at the top of my head, there's a lot of like airiness behind it.
okay,
Like the back of my head, there's still very like airy, and so I did the like strings of greenish blue,
yeah,
kind of like they're attached to that part, but they're still, just hanging on, but they're still like sort of free.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
I love it. I love it. Let's go into, let's start with the first thing that you colored,
Mhm.
the brown curved rectangle. So brown specifically in your coloring has to do with the feeling of helplessness. So helplessness specifically is it's like a helplessness around feeling like you can't do something without assistance from another person.
Hmm.
And the curve, whenever we see like really soft kind of curved lines, it just mirrors like the feminine energy. So everyone has feminine and masculine energy, but specifically the feminine energy is tied to our creation energy. So this specifically is tied to feeling like you can't create something, whether that's like your art or like your life, or create something larger than yourself, without assistance from another person or a community of people. It can be multiple people too. Also,
Hmm.
as I'm going through this, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. You're
Mhm.
gonna know best you're going to know best how this applies to your life. And even if I'm saying something and you're like, oh, that triggers a thought in you or helps you connect other things, follow that thought process. Because that's a lot of what color mending is seeing what's in the color and shapes charts and then creating a meaning out of all the clues that we're gathering from those charts.
Mhm.
Let's look at rectangles. Rectangles specifically have to do with how like stability and stableness. So how steady and stable you feel. So it could also lean into how you don't feel as quite as steady or stable as you want to or as you think you can without needing or without any assistance.
Mhm.
Dots have to do with your focus and ability to connect ideas. What's interesting about these dots is that they're light meanings. So it's like it's poking holes through the helplessness.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, the white specifically has to do with your ability to be judicious. So being very thoughtful and being like able to look at things in a very nuanced and balanced way without being overly critical or overly accepting. It's like you need to gather a lot of information before uh, and once you have that information, it's like you're solid and can move forward with creating the thing. But your judiciousness and your ability to do this is like poking through the helplessness. I
Mhm.
know before we started recording, you were talking about feeling like you're creating a new chapter or you're starting a new
Mhm.
chapter. So this
Yeah.
could be kind of your body's way of showing what you're leaving behind and what you're working through and
Mhm.
kind of painting the picture of what it could be as well.
Hmm. I see the entryway in the circle. Kind
Yeah.
of like this is more of what you're gonna get after.
Yeah, which is so
Mhm.
cool. Which is
Yeah.
so cool.
Because it literally looks like a door that's opening, or I don't know,
Yeah, yeah. If
like
it feels like
perception.
that, go with it for sure.
Yeah.
Circles have to do with like certainty. So that could be
Mm.
like the door is opening to more certainty, more clarity, more of what you're hoping to build, and less of the helplessness too. Anytime that we see brown, especially if it's a border, brown has to do with, in this place, like assured, like being very assured. So confidence based on having a clear perception and understanding of yourself and then other situations too. What's interesting is it feels like the more you're able, it's like your body's way of saying, like, the more you understand yourself and the more you understand like your culture and where you came from and your experiences, the more you're going to see this really beautiful kind of grounded and balanced picture of what you want your life to look like.
Mm. That's really helpful because I also, just from my history, I associate brown with my skin color, with where I come from, with the soil and everything. And also, I've been told before, in different ways that like connect your art to your culture and connect your art to who you are and stuff like that. So
That's
that's
cool.
very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting your body's bringing this up too, of like it's
Mhm.
another layer of the message.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's really cool. The legs of the table, what's cool about the legs of the table is that it's coming through like the dots where it feels more light than heavy.
Mhm.
Specifically for this, it has to do with enlightenment. So just having an understanding or having a clear picture of who you are and who you're becoming
Mhm.
and where you've been to. What's interesting with dots is it literally is like connecting the dots of like connecting all of your experiences, connecting all of your the patterns that you find that are playing out in your life, connecting more of the different aspects or skills or your gifts and even like sometimes our opportunities for growth, like all of that. It has this feeling of like that's what's going to keep you grounded and that's what is like connecting or funneling into your body. So it's like releasing the helplessness,
Mhm.
and just kind of funneling back in like all of the light and airy kind of creation feminine energy that it feels like you've been searching for. Pink has to do with confidence. Whenever we color out like our body, that specifically is how we feel about ourselves. So this is, I would suggest that it's more of the more you are able to understand yourself and your culture and your experiences and like who you are, the more confidence and grounded you'll be. It feels like a very like solid energy too. I know that's the same word that you use to describe the sensation in the top of your
Yeah.
head, but it feels like just a solid foundation of like an unwavering confidence, like no matter who you meet or the experiences that you have, like the more you stay on this path that you're on, the more it's going to give you confidence to show up even if it's not well received, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
And that could be a bunch of different things too. So typically a lot of the work that I've been doing with my clients or especially over the past few months has
Mhm.
been how do I show up when it's outside of the expectations that have been placed on me, either through culture or through society or through myself or through my family or through friends? And how do you kind of stand true or find those things that are the expectations that you have of yourself and prioritize your own expectations of yourself versus like the expectations of others?
Mhm.
And sometimes that's hard to do, but yeah, take it or leave it, but that's kind of the patterns and themes that I've seen. a lot recently with my clients.
Mm.
Trees, I know you were talking a lot about trees as you were talking about the table legs. So trees
Yeah.
have to do with family and community patterns.
Mm.
What's cool about this would is like the family and community patterns that really kind of shaped who you are and who you want to be. It's like all of those things are it's like releasing the helplessness that's kind of surrounding those things, and it's like it's everything has felt really meshed and hard to see like the heavy and light and the things you want to keep and the things you want to like toss.
Mm.
But now it's just showing you like all of the family and cultural uh experiences that you had that were really beneficial to you and are things that you want to take and incorporate more into your life. It's
Mm.
it's
Mhm.
basically funneling all of that back into your body and into your being, so that it will be easier. You're going to approach it in a new way. It's not going to be a place of like helplessness. It's going to be more of a place of like curiosity and love and expansion and creation too, with like the curved lines. The green and the blue uh, lines coming out of the rectangle,
Mhm.
those specifically have to do with the emotions you're currently feeling, and those
Mm.
also have more of like a lightness to it, specifically around like peacefulness, so an inner sense of quiet and just contentment with yourself and where you're at. And then there's also this piece of like resolution, to where if there's any like question marks that are still outstanding, any sort of like hurts or resentments or questioning that you have, it's essentially saying like the work that you're currently doing is going to help resolve all of those and bring you some more clarity and groundedness and confidence. That was
Yeah.
a lot in one coloring.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. I was like information overload. No.
It might take a few minutes to sink in or even a few days. That's a lot of what my clients experience. It will take a little time to process it,
Hmm.
see how it like incorporates into what their experience is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of the things you said I hadn't mentioned to you before, but have definitely been occurring within my life, like the culture thing, like the connecting with culture to and community family patterns that shaped me and learning to love them more, to embrace them more, and sort of like use them. And I've definitely been adopting like cultural practices that have come from where I'm from.
Oh,
Um, just so many different things, like connecting more with, we have chickens at home. And
oh,
so going out and hanging out with the chickens, feeding them, doing kind of like rural, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but
yeah,
rural like practices that my parents used to practice themselves when they lived in where they're from.
oh, cool.
And I mean, I was more like, I always loved nature, but I never really like seeked it or like actually spent more time in nature or yeah, and also like I was raised by my mom as kind of like you know, I feel like this can be a little controversial, but I was raised by my mom to like help her clean, help her like cook and just a bunch of like caretaking things.
Yeah,
And I was the only female in the house. I only have brothers.
yeah,
So for a long time I resented those things because I'm like, why don't they do it? Why don't you get them to do it? And I mean I still, I still don't fully agree that they that I have to do these things and that they don't, but
mhm.
I've learned to embrace it more and to love doing those things as like sort of like a act of charity to my family.
Oh,
Even if it's like, oh, you're doing these things and they're not, like I still have adopted it and learned to embrace it more. I've been learning to do things more for my mom out of like love and understanding of her instead of resentment or like rebelliousness. It's been a huge change, but it's been there.
That
Um,
sounds amazing. That sounds
yeah.
like some people don't go their entire lives without, like they just cling to the resentment or they cling to the like the bitterness or like
hmm
the just like the rage or the hate or whatever word you want to
hmm
say. So the fact you've been able to get to a place to where it is, I love what you said, it's not out of the resentment or the rebelliousness, it's more
hmm
out of like the love and the charity. Um,
hmm
that's huge.
And I think this is really important. The thing that has this act of me sort of becoming more docile, take it as you will,
Yeah.
um, it has literally helped my relationship with my mom so much.
Oh,
Yeah, like I always expected her to change before me, her to like be a better mom or I still think there's things that she didn't do very well, but I don't think I can blame her. Um but me being more understanding of her and being more helpful to her has helped our relationship. It's changed the way that she has treated me. Um and I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not because I'm doing what she tells me. It's like something different.
yeah,
It's something like, I don't even know how to explain it. Just like mutual respect, mutual, like, like I respect her more than I used to. And, um, yeah.
I love that. I am so excited for you in this new chapter. I think it just takes one of my favorite neuroscientists, her name's Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. She talks about how we're not to blame for our experiences, but we're
hmm
the only people who can resolve our emotional suffering because we're the ones who initiate that change. And once we initiate that change, it it helps change other people's uh
Yes, that part.
too.
Yes.
Yeah,
It changes the ambiance completely with one single person who
yeah.
changes the way they perceive the world, how they treat others.
Mhm.
Like I feel like it literally like my transformation has helped my environment. Like it's changed them a little bit too.
That is
Uh,
awesome. I
it's really beautiful, yeah.
No, I love that. I love that that has been your experience and you're doing the work, which is amazing. I
hmm
thank you so much for calling in today. I loved every second of this and I feel like we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
So I use the color mending therapy step-by-step guide to interpret your colorings. I created a coloring set, which is an offering to teach you or anyone else who wants to learn how to do these things for themselves and guide themselves through color mending sessions to learn how to do it in 21 days. And if you do it, you get your money back. So there's really zero risk. But
Mhm.
you or anyone else who's interested in learning how to do color mending therapy sessions for yourself and making sense of your internal world and learning your language of emotions, you can scan this QR code. And for all of our listeners, if you're interested in scheduling your reading, you can go ahead and scan this QR code and schedule your session with me. But thank you so much, y'all. We'll see you soon.